Father is my hope, the Son is my refuge, the Holy Spirit is my protection. Holy Trinity, glory to you. Hello and welcome back to the Children's Corner. Today we're going to be telling one of our very favorite stories about a little
chameleon.
So the chameleon,
Was mixed up.
well, he gets mixed up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he would go onto a green leaf, and you could see he would be a little green. And then he would go onto a yellow flower, and he'd be a little yellow. And then he would go onto an orange, and he would become a little orange. When the chameleon was warm and had something to eat, he was bright green. But when it was cold and hungry, he turned dull and gray. This was his life. And sparkly. Well, he didn't turn sparkly when he was hungry. When the chameleon was hungry, he sat still and waited. Only his eyes moved, up, down, and sideways, until it spotted a fly.
Mom, I want to do the...
And then his long tongue shot out and... Oh, it's hard to be a chameleon, isn't it? Whoa, and it caught the fly. Ha ha. That was his life. It wasn't very exciting until one day, where did the chameleon go?
To a zoo.
What do you think Mr. Chameleon did?
Turned into...
He thought, how small I am, how slow, how weak. I wish I could be big and white like a polar bear.
And guess what? His wish came true.
He was a polar bear.
But was he happy? No. I wish that I could be beautiful like a flamingo.
But was he happy?
No.
I wish I could be smart like a fox.
But was he happy?
No.
I wish I could swim like a fish.
But was he happy?
No. Oh my
I wish I
goodness.
could run like a deer.
But was he happy? No.
I wish I could see things far away like a giraffe.
Okay.
I wish I could hide in a shell like a turtle. I
What did
wish
it
I
say?
could be strong like an elephant.
There we go. Oh my goodness.
He's quite the chameleon. I wish I could be funny like a seal. I wish I could be like people. Went away. Just then a fly flew by. The chameleon was very hungry, but the chameleon was also very
Oh
mixed up.
no.
With a little of this and a little of that, he couldn't catch the fly.
Oh.
I wish I could be myself. And the chameleon's wish came true, and he caught the fly.
So this little thing that we have here, the chameleon's tongue, you can make yourself, and they're really kind of fun to just roll up and blow out. We took a very thick piece of paper and we folded it. So it's folded it in half, and then you can tape it and roll it up like this so that it's hollow in the middle like a tube, and then you just blow.
It's rude to stick out your tongue.
Oh, sorry. What was the chameleon's problem?
He wanted to be too many things at once, and he wasn't content when he had at least one of those things.
He wasn't content. Do you know what content means, David?
It means happy with what you have.
Happy with what you have. And so Timothy says, what's content?
Happy with whatever you have.
Happy whatever you have. And so in 1 Timothy we read, godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and clothing, with these we shall be content. So one of the things that we can practice during this time is to be grateful and content that we have what we need, our daily bread, right? Like we pray in the Lord's Prayer. One little poem to share with us before Ella does Art with Ella. And Art with Ella and David. So these are all actions, and they're actions according to different animals. So you want to help me read this? We'll do it.
Frogs jump,
Caterpillars hump.
Worms wiggle.
Beetles jiggle.
Rabbits hop.
Horses clop.
Snakes slide.
Seagulls glide.
Mice creep.
Deer leap.
Foxes prowl.
Dogs growl.
Puppies bounce.
Kittens pounce.
Lions stalk.
I walk. Now let's do it.
That's what was in the music.
Yeah.
Favorite
Let's do
song.
it again. And this time, you read the animal and I read the action, or would you like to read the action and I read the animal? What do you think?
It doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
Frogs.
Jump,
Caterpillars.
hump,
Worms.
wiggle,
Beetles.
jiggle,
Rabbits.
hop,
Horses.
clop,
Snakes.
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 Do it again like that. That's cute.
Snakes.
Slide,
Seagulls.
glide,
Mice.
creep,
Deer.
leap,
Foxes.
prowl,
Dogs.
growl,
Puppies.
bounce,
Kittens.
pounce,
Lions.
Stop.
I.
Oh, no, we gotta do this again.
Lions.
Stalk,
I
walk. Wasn't that fun?
So I am going to draw today a lizard. And this is how we do it. Draw an oval for the body. And then boop, boop. And then we have that like that. And that like that. And next we say, here's the other side of the leg. The other side of the front legs. And then
Mom, I can't do it. I did his
add
overall
that like
thing.
that. Add a little more length to the legs. And then a nice head. Erase the line so it makes a more realistic head and neck. Make this maybe a little more round and smaller. And then, so here's our head. An eye. And then the toes. And that didn't look so good, so I'll say that. And redo the toe here. Like that. And now the eyes and a long tail. And if you want, you can add a rock. And here's
So this is Grandfather Frog gets into trouble. And this is another story kind of about contentment, I think. Yeah. So there's Mr. Grandfather Frog. Grandfather Frog. Look at him.
Mr. Fat Frog.
Look at look at his feet. What do you notice about his feet, David?
They hop.
They hop. What do you notice about his feet?
They're webbed,
They're webbed.
so he can swim.
Grandfather Frog has a great big mouth. You know that. Everybody does. His friends of the Smiling Pool, the Laughing Brook, and the Green Meadows have teased Grandfather Frog about the size of his mouth a great deal. But he hasn't minded in the least, not the very least. You see, he learned a long time ago that a big mouth is very handy for catching foolish green flies, especially when two happen to come along together. So he's rather proud of his big mouth, just as he is of his goggly eyes. Do you have goggly eyes? No. But once in a while...
Now I do.
Once in a while, his big mouth gets him into trouble. Does your mouth ever get you into trouble? St. James says our tongue is like a fire. Once in a while, his big mouth gets him into trouble. It's a way big mouths have. It holds so much that it makes him greedy sometimes. He stuffs it full after his stomach has already all that it can hold, and then, of course, he can't swallow. Then Grandfather Frog looks foolish and silly and undignified, and everyone calls him a greedy fellow. morning, when Grandfather Frog had had a very good breakfast of foolish green flies and really didn't need another single thing to eat, who should come along but Little Joe Otter, who had been down to the big river fishing. "Good morning, Grandfather Frog. Have you had your breakfast yet?" called Little Joe Otter. Grandfather Frog wanted to say no, but he always tells the truth. "Yes," he replied, "I've had my breakfast, such as it was. Why do you ask?" "Oh, for no reason in particular. I just thought if you hadn't, you might like a fish." "But as long as you have breakfasted, of course you don't want one," said Little Joe, his bright eyes beginning to twinkle. He held the fish out so that Grandfather Frog could see just how plump and nice they were. "Chug-a-rum!" exclaimed Grandfather Frog. "Those certainly are very nice fish indeed. It is very nice of you to think of a poor old fellow like me, and I might find room for just a teeny-weeny one, if you can spare it." So there is the otter. "Of course I can, but I wouldn't think of giving such an old friend a teeny-weeny one." With that, Little Joe picked out the biggest fish he had and tossed it over to Grandfather Frog. It landed close by his nose with a great splash and was almost half as big as Grandfather Frog himself. Could you imagine having a peanut butter sandwich that was half your size? It was plump and looked so tempting that Grandfather Frog forgot all about his full stomach. He even forgot to be polite and thank Little Joe Otter. He just opened his great mouth and seized the fish. Yes, sir, that is what he did. Almost before you could wink an eye, the fish had started down Grandfather Frog's throat, head first. Now you know Grandfather Frog has no teeth. Did you know frogs have no teeth?
Yeah.
And so he cannot bite things in two. He has to swallow them whole. What if you had to swallow things whole?
Because they have such a long tongue that they can go they can catch the food and they can go.
Oh, but then they could bite their tongue. At first, Little Joe Otter, sitting on the bank of the Smiling Pool, laughed himself almost sick as he watched Grandfather Frog trying to swallow a fish almost as big as himself. When his white and yellow waistcoat was already stuffed so full of foolish green flies, there wasn't room for anything more. So there's poor Grandfather Frog.
The fish stuck down his throat.
Yeah, he's got a fish stuck down his throat because he can't chew, right? He just has to swallow it. Chickens don't have teeth either, right?
No, they have a beak, so they can cut things.
They can cut things, but then they have, what do they do instead of teeth? What do they swallow?
What do you mean?
Little bits of rock, and so that it grinds up in their stomach,
Yes.
right? It would have been disgusting if it hadn't been so very, very funny. They do. At least it was funny at first, for the fish had stuck with the tail hanging out of Grandfather Frog's big mouth. Grandfather Frog hitched this way and hitched that way on his big green lily pad, trying his best to swallow. Twice he tumbled off with a splash into the Smiling Pool. Each time he scrambled back again and rolled his great goggly eyes. Little Joe was laughing so that he had to hold his sides, and he didn't understand that Grandfather Frog was really in trouble. He made such a noise that Spotty the Turtle, who had been taking a sun bath on the end of an old log, slipped into the water and started to see what it was all about. Why does Spotty take sun baths?
Because he's cold-blooded.
He's cold-blooded, and so...
His blood changes with the temperature.
Right, so he does it so he can wake up in the morning. It's kind of like a cup of coffee. Turtles drink coffee. No, wait, they don't. They just sunbathe. Now, Spotty the Turtle is very, very slow on land, right?
But he's fast in the water.
He's a very good swimmer. He hurried now because he didn't want to miss the fun. At first, he didn't see Grandfather Frog. "What's the joke?" he asked. So here's Grandfather Frog, and Spotty the Turtle is falling off of his log, right? Because the frog disrupted it. Little Joe simply pointed to Grandfather Frog. He had laughed so much that he couldn't even speak. Spotty looked over to the big green lily pad and started for Grandfather Frog as fast as he could swim. He climbed right up on the big green lily pad and reached out, grabbed the end of the fish tail in his beak-like mouth. Then Spotty the Turtle settled back and pulled, and Grandfather Frog settled back and pulled. Splash! Grandfather Frog had fallen backward into the Smiling Pool on one side of the big green lily pad. Splash! Spotty the Turtle had fallen backward into the Smiling Pool on the opposite side of the big green lily pad, and the fish, which had caused all the trouble, lay floating on the water. Thank you, gasped Grandfather Frog as he feebly crawled back onto the lily pad. "A minute more and I would have choked to death." "Don't mention it," replied Spotty the Turtle. "Don't worry, I never will," promised Grandfather Frog. So So should we sing, in honor of Spotty the Turtle's brave deed, should we sing our turtle song again?
Oh,
Make
wait.
the turtle.
Wait a minute. I have a joke that has something to do with eye rolling. So, my joke is, what happens when somebody rolls their eyes at you?
You roll them back again, right?
Yeah.
In honor of Spotty the Turtle, you've got your turtle ready? Do you have your turtle ready? You ready? I have a little turtle and he lives in a box. He swims in the water and he sits on the rocks. He snaps at a mosquito and he snaps at a flea. He snaps at a minnow and he snaps at me. He caught the mosquito and he cut the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me.
Small turtle.
A small turtle? He was too small to catch you? And he also snapped the fish out of Grandfather Frog's mouth, right?
Yeah,
Good thing he has
because
a
they
good,
have beaks.
good strong snapping
I
beak.
have heard of a turtle paralyzing a baby swan's beak with its beak.
By biting it
Yeah.
because they snap so hard?
Yeah, it was a snapping turtle on a baby swan.
Okay. We didn't get to talk about last time when we were talking about turtles. A kind of fun thing to do is to take a piece of construction paper and lots of different colors of paper, and you can glue the different colors of paper onto the turtle shell piece by piece, and then you can make a collage turtle shell, which is a fun thing to do. So if
You can do different shapes
have
and everything.
people who like to cut and glue like we have around here, do you like to cut and glue? Yeah, so maybe next time we'll show you our turtle collage. Turtles.
Do not paint turtle shells. They cannot grow past the paint, and that eventually will kill the turtle. Do not paint on turtle shells. I don't care what the internet told you.
But can't you do,
Internet
like,
baloney.
ink?
You can paint your fingernails.
Turtles don't like paint. Don't paint on them. I know it's very unlikely that any of you will ever catch a turtle, but if you do, do not paint on them.
Why do people paint on turtles when they catch them?
I don't know.
To be able to identify them again?
Not to be able to identify them again, to decorate them and make them look pretty.
So if you want to paint on something that is round and hard, paint on a rock in your garden. This is called good thoughts. Stubborn set off, whistling and singing. The more he thought about how kind and helpful the elder had been, the easier the trip became. Having good thoughts seemed so simple to him. He had not been walking very long when from a distance he saw a man giving water to his horse. He looks like a good man, Stubborn thought. I'll stop to talk to him a little. Good morning, sir. Good morning. What are you doing out here? Inquired the man. I'm on my way to Uville. That's a difficult journey. It all depends. It's not that difficult. It's up to us if we can get there. As Stubborn was talking, he put his knapsack down on a rock and went up to the horse to pet it. You have the most beautiful horse I've ever seen. You must be really happy. What's its name? Itchy, answered the man. Itchy, exclaimed Stubborn. Come on, couldn't you think of something better to call it? Seems to me, friend, that you don't know a lot about horses. Itchy suits him just fine. Trying to change the subject, Stubborn asked the man if the water from the river was clean. Here it's not very good, but a little way over there between those rocks is a fresh spring. Thank you, you're very kind. Stubborn walked over to the bubbling spring, and as he bent over to drink the water, he heard the galloping of a horse. He lifted up his head only to see the man riding off with his knapsack on his shoulder. Stubborn started running after him, furiously shouting, Hey, you good for nothing! Stop! Stop! Give me back my knapsack! The man rode off and didn't even turn around to
Give
look
me back my hats.
We need to split that story.
That is a fun story. You, monkey, you, give me back my caps.
Give me back my sack.
You good for nothing. Stop, stop. Give me back my knapsack. The man rode off and didn't even turn around to look at Stubborn. Thief, scoundrel, Stubborn said to himself. Nobody's to blame but me. Speaking to him so kindly like that, I even said nice things about his horse. What a crook he is. The path started to narrow. Stubborn walked along, saying to himself, Elder, look what you got me into. It's all your fault. If I had listened to my queen, I wouldn't have fallen for that lousy trick like a fool. This, he told himself, is what I get for having good thoughts. Then again, what kind of advice did I expect from some old man? Now the path was covered with big rocks, and Stubborn had difficulty walking. So, We are continuing with our exploration of Byzantine chant, and thank you, Richard, once again. So follow along as we listen and learn.
God is with us, the Lord our God. Let us sanctify him, and he will be our fear. For God is with us. And if I should trust in him, he will be sanctification for me. For God is with us. And I will trust in him, and I will be saved by him. For God is with us. Here am I and the children whom God has given me. For God is with us. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. For God is with us. We who dwell in the land and the shadow of death, a light will shine on us, for God is with us. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, for God is with us, both now and forever, and to the ages of ages. Amen. For God is with us. God is with us. Understand your nations and submit, for God is with